What's up, guys? We are back. Anthony and Jimmy, FPM here, Fitness Profit Multiplier. We are back today with the right way to use Facebook ads to get clients. All these business coaches out there swear that Facebook, if you use Facebook ads, it's going to explode your business. And it doesn't really work like that. You could waste a lot of money on Facebook. But if you guys have listened to our previous stuff, you already know the first thing you need to do before even setting up Facebook ads, you pick up the phone and you start dialing. That's what it comes down to. That's the first step before all this happens. But we're going to talk about today exactly how to get clients through Facebook and what you actually need, because a lot of people think that if you just turn a Facebook ad on, your business is going to explode. And that's not really what's going to happen. But Big Jimmy, what's up, man? You ready to tackle Facebook?
Yeah, this is an exciting topic for me. Because it took me some time in my business to realize that Facebook was not some magic pill that you could have your business take and have it grow up to be the Hulk. It doesn't work that way. And a lot of people are misled into thinking that all they have to do is follow a specific Facebook ad copy or image or what have you, and all of a sudden their business is going to blow up. There's a lot of different things you need to manage, and I'm extremely excited about diving into the nitty gritty on this, because we've had failed Facebook ad campaigns and we've had Facebook ad campaigns that have 10x'd our ROI. So we have tons of different ways. I mean, just so you guys know, we've had Facebook ads that I've spent, $3,000 on that got me a 1x return. I just broke even on, right? And I've had Facebook ads that I've spent $5,000 on that returned me a lifetime value of 120 grand. Right. So I've had good ones and bad ones and all kinds of stuff. And I'm happy to share with you the ins and outs, the pitfalls and the successes of what that looks like and what to actually expect with your Facebook advertising.
So I want to be transparent with you guys. I have not used Facebook up until recently. This year was really the first year that I've actually started diving into Facebook to grow my gym. I've done everything else and things we'll explain on here and how I've grown my gym to almost that 7-figure mark without Facebook ads. So I am totally new to Facebook ads. And like I said, this is the first year that I'm actually diving into it. And I've learned a lot in the past couple of months, just experimenting with it and playing with it. You can definitely lose a lot of money really fast if you don't know what you're looking for. But Jimmy has actually, how much would you say you've actually grown once you got Facebook actually working? Because you're a numbers guy and you told me the number. I don't remember off my head.
Yeah. So there was a time when I finally had a Facebook ad that really blew up my business. And every time I've gotten a Facebook ad to blow up my business, which has been probably 4 times now, I've had really, really successful campaigns. Right. And these really, really successful campaigns, each time I run a really, really successful campaign from Facebook alone, I grow my business by about 6 figures that year, maybe a little bit more. Right. So
how much of that is take home? How much of that is usually take home for you?
Well, when you subtract lead costs, which isn't super duper high, right? So it's a 6-figure growth from a $5,000 ad spend or so, somewhere between 5 and 8,000. So under $10,000 ad spend, you're going to get that return, right? How much of that is take home? Well, when you talk to Fitness Profit Multiplier and what we do here, we look to get people to 40% margins, right? So our margins are probably about 45%. Maybe 47% right now. So, I mean, if you think about that, you could add another 40 grand to your bottom line, right? Your profit by running.
Which is the most important part. Forget all those other numbers, because they're the ones that look pretty, those numbers. My business does over $1 million. Who cares? It's all about how much you actually bring home. So that's why it's so important. Facebook is a tool. Most people forget that Facebook is a tool and they use Facebook as, okay, I'm marketing some Facebook, but Facebook is not marketing. Like I said, I've grown my gym almost to 7 figures, not doing Facebook. So if Facebook is your whole marketing system, that's a problem right there. But Facebook is a tool, and I think that tool, when used correctly, can escalate how much you're growing and how much you're actually putting in your pocket, because it almost adds gas to the fire, so to say. So let's get into it, man. So Facebook ads. I think the first thing that I actually want to cover with this is ad spend. People think, and I fell victim to this. I was spending like $10 a day on Facebook. I'm like, okay, I'm not getting anything out of this. This doesn't work. Nothing's happening.
Yeah.
And then I talked to Jimmy, and Jimmy's like, yeah, I'm spending like $4,000 a month on Facebook. I'm like, holy shit, I'm spending 300 a month. But so go ahead. Let's talk about that actual price, and how did you kind of stumble upon that? And how did you learn that that was it? Because initially, like I said in the beginning, I don't know how much to put. So I'm like, all right, $10.
Yeah.
And then 10 gets you nothing. Maybe you get one client after like 3 months. And you're like, I don't understand why this is happening.
Right. So with Facebook ads, you have to realize that your conversion rate is going to be somewhere between 10 and 20%. Conversion to
actually, wait, before you start, really quick.
Yeah.
One other thing that I want to explain to you guys is you have to know your numbers, especially if you're going to start dumping money into Facebook. And these are the things that we teach you when you work with us with coaching. You have to know your numbers. So Jimmy's going to throw out a lot of numbers to you guys because he has all these metrics. So you have to have these metrics in place to know if your campaign is successful, profitable, if you're making money and losing money. You need to know this stuff. So he's going to throw out those numbers, but Facebook doesn't give you those numbers. You have to actually keep track of them. So go ahead. I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah. And maybe in the future, Facebook can give you those numbers because you can backtrack the offline conversions, but that's a whole nother topic, right? So that's something I'm diving into right now. But when you look at your Facebook advertising as a acquisition system, right, you have to set your expectations properly. So as we talked about, a lot of these gurus will say, oh, well, you can blow up your business with Facebook ads. And Facebook ads is their only play, right? Facebook ads and paid in fulls. That's the play they use, right? Oh, grow your revenue, right? So, but those things do not take into account what the actual expectations are for that ad and how much ad spend you actually have to put into the system to get out what you need, right? So when we look at Facebook advertising as a whole, you're going to have between 10 and 20% full close acquisition of that lead, right? So if you have 10 leads, you're going to close 1 or 2, right? It's very rare that you're going to close 3 of those leads because we have a certain booking rate and all these kinds of things that go into that, right? Now, we have a 60% booking rate off of Facebook. If you get a 40% booking rate off of Facebook, that's great, right? So you have to look at your booking rate because then you're going to get a no-show rate off that booking rate. So only a certain percentage of those books are actually going to show. And then you have to do a good job in closing to close those people, either on a front-end offer or a continuity-based offer, right? So when we look at that, 10 to 20% close rate. So for example, if your lead cost is $20 a lead, right? And you're spending $200 a day at $20 a lead, you get 10 leads a day, right? So then you're adding, if we look at the math, 2 clients a day at that rate, right? But that's $200 a day, right? That's not $10 a day because $10 a day gets you 2 leads in 2 days, right? A lead, or it gets you, $10 a day gets you 1 lead in 2 days if your lead cost is $20, right? So the problem there, you get 1 lead every 2 days. That's only 15 leads a month. At 15 leads, you might close 3 new clients for the month. Now, that may be great for some of you guys, but that's really slow, right? It's not multiplying your profits. It's not multiplying your top line.
I think you made a mistake, man. If you got 15 leads and it's 1%, isn't it 1.5 people technically?
Yeah, it's 1.5 people, right?
All right, so I was going to say 3. I'm like, damn, I'm horrible at math, guys. So I'm like, wait a minute, am I really that bad at math? But, all right, so yeah, if you got 15 leads, it's 1.5 people, not 3.
And this is why I track this all in spreadsheets and have a calculator right with me. So, but you guys get the point, right? So 1.5, you're going to get a half a person in there, right? So when we look at that, 1.5, right?
And wait, hold on, guys. And that's if you have a good system.
Right.
That's if you pick up the phone and start dialing.
Yes.
Because if you don't pick up the phone, the chances of you getting that actual one client off of that, slim to none.
Yeah, exactly. Now, when we look at all these numbers and you look at how you're going to really get your Facebook ad to work properly, if you're new and you have a low budget and all this kind of stuff, that's okay. But I would start at a minimum of $30 a day, minimum, right? We routinely spend $70 a day per gender. Okay. $70 a day per gender. So you want to separate your genders out, male and female, right? Because you can speak to them differently. But $70 per gender per day, right? And initially, you probably want to market to women first because you're going to have a better ROI. There's a better conversion rate on women for fitness. Women are 68% of the market of personal training, right? So women are going to be easier to close. Women want your service more. Men have egos. They think they can do it on their own. They hurt themselves. Then they finally come to you, and then they get stronger than they've ever been before. You've had that experience as a gym owner, I'm sure, right? So women first. If you're going to start Facebook ads, you haven't done it before. Women first, $30 a day minimum, right? Now, one note that I want to make on lead cost. Just because some guru out there tells you that they can get you a low lead cost does not mean the conversion rate is going to be better. Okay. I've had ad campaigns where I've spent $60 a lead and had a 30% conversion rate. Is that a better campaign than spending $30 a lead and having a 15%? That's basically the same, right? But if I was spending $30 a lead and I had a 5% conversion rate, that's a lower ROI, right? So the lead cost is not the full equation. The conversion is the full equation, right? What's your conversion percentage and how does that relate back to your client acquisition cost? And it has to be in line with your pricing. So these are the things that you need to think about when running Facebook ads. It's not just about the agency down the street that can get you a $5 lead, because that's not necessarily beneficial, right? You have to look at your conversion percentages and all these kinds of things. So you have to build your sales skills up enough to get a campaign profitable, no matter what the lead cost is. Now, you shouldn't be having a lead cost that's over $70. You shouldn't even be having a lead cost that's over $20. $20 is really where we want to sit, because the volume and the conversion rates and the averages and all these kinds of things, right? Because if you have a $20 lead cost, right? So you have a $20 lead cost. So it's going to cost you $200 if you have a 10% conversion rate. So this is like, bare minimum, right? This is if you're not that skilled and this kind of thing, right? You have a $20 lead cost. It's $200 to acquire 10 leads, right? Of those 10 leads, you convert one, right? It costs you $200 to convert that one lead. Your front end offer should be between $400 and $600 if you're doing front ends on a small group side. Even on a boot camp side, you can do that, right? But if you're running them straight into continuity, which is what we do now, right? We're getting $400 off of that lead, and we have a 30-day cancellation policy. So we're actually going to get $800 from that lead on average, right? From that conversion, from that front end conversion, $800 confirmed, right? Now, our stay rate's pretty long. So our clients are going to stay for about 18 months. So if we convert them straight into continuity, we went from, we could look at all the back end money, right? But we basically made $8,000 or whatever it may be through upsells and all that kind of stuff from that $200 acquisition. But even if you're selling front end acquisition model, it's a $400 product. You spent $200 to acquire that lead. That's $200 in your pocket, right? Yep. So it's a 2X on that acquisition. Now, if you build your skills and you build your sales skills, you can get that up to 20%. You get a 20% conversion, and then it's even more, right? Because now you've acquired 2 clients out of the 200, or excuse me, 2 clients out of the 10, right? 2 clients out of 10 leads, right? And those 2 clients are going to be worth $800 on a front end offer if it's 400. Okay. And you still spent the same amount to acquire them, right? $200 to acquire 2, right? So we need to look at this and go, how are we going to expect what we're going to get from the Facebook advertising? And how are we going to fill all the gaps as we go through that whole process, which our last episode was about your system and your calls and how frequently and all that kind of stuff, because that plays into the equation. But when we go down to it and we get out of the nitty gritty of the numbers, if you're only spending $10 a day, and I'm not telling you to spend $70 a day if you're getting $70, $100 leads, right? But at the same time, you have to let that ad run for a few days before you shut it off, right? We just launched our ads again because I was out of town and I wasn't running ads because we're a little bit, we had to make sure our staff was managed and all this kind of stuff. And we were actually so booked that, we were at the top of our membership for our space that we could handle, right? We were at like 210 members, right? So that's all we could handle in our space. So we shut ads off for a little while. So I just relaunched them. And in relaunching those ads, I started at $30 a day, like I'm telling you guys to do. That's the starting. Okay. And after a couple of days, I had one lead. And that one lead cost me $75. Right. But I let the ad continue to run. And what happened? I got another lead and another lead. Right. So my lead cost went from $75 down to $30 in 2 days from keeping it running. Right. So don't shut it off immediately. You got to let that thing run for 5 days. So here's the takeaway. First thing you're going to do, if you have never run Facebook ads before, set up a lead ad campaign. Okay. And we can talk about creative and copy and stuff like that, but that's not really what we're talking about. Okay. Lead ad campaign, $30 a day, run it for 5 days before you shut it off. Okay. Run it for 5 days before you shut it off. All right. That is the first step to understanding Facebook ads, and track your numbers on the back end. What is the conversion that you're getting? How many times are you calling these leads? Are they booking? Right? Are you connecting with them? Are they booking? Are they showing? Are they closing? All of those percentages you have to know if that campaign is successful. It's not just what Facebook tells you.
Yeah. I mean, that was well said, man. So wait, what happens after that then? So now after the first 5 days, what do you do then? Do you just ramp the budget up? What do you do in that case?
Depends on how your ad's going, right? So if in the first 5 days your lead cost is still really high and you've only gotten one lead, well, you have to go back into the platform and see what's wrong with your campaign, right? What does your creative look like? What does your copy look like? The first step is copy, right? The first step is copy. And you can, or excuse me, I totally misspoke. The first step is creative. Right? And you can take a look in the dashboard and see what the clicks look like. Because if people are clicking on a specific image more than other images, that image is doing something for them, right? But if there's a good click-through rate, right, then you can look at it and you go, okay, that click-through rate's good. Well, that creative is probably good. Maybe there's something wrong with my copy. Maybe there's something wrong with my form, right? Maybe you're asking too many questions on the form.
Yeah.
Right. So there's certain things that will ramp up your lead cost, and there's certain things that will make for a higher quality client or a higher quality lead, right? The days of landers are probably not over, but with the iOS update, we're looking at when you drive somebody to a landing page, it costs you a lot more for that lead, and they haven't been as receptive or as convertible, right? As back in the day when you could run people straight from, just grab an image of your gym, write up some copy, limited offer, special offer, whatever, and then just run them straight to a lander and close them, right? Those days are not quite as prevalent as they used to be. And when you're getting $5 leads, $8 leads, whatever, and you're just churning and using it as an ATM, there's more strategy and more tactics to it than there used to be. So lead ads are going to be the way to go right now. As far as what I've seen with the iOS update, they don't want people pulling off of Facebook. So lead ads are probably the best way to go. You're going to get a lower conversion.
I told you about lead ads.
Yeah.
I told you about lead ads. That's how I learned. So I learned on lead ads. For me, lead ads have always been the thing. I sent people to a lander once, and the cost went through the roof. I shut it off. Yeah. So actually, you didn't answer my question. So I have a campaign that I'm running right now that's actually doing well. I'm getting really cheap leads, and I actually converted a couple people off that. So that's good. Do I throw more money at it? Do I
Right.
leave? How do I know what to do in that case?
So when we look at an ad and it's starting to produce results, right? There's only a certain percentage of ad spend you want to increase per day. So there's certain things on the back end of the algorithm of Facebook that if you go from like $30 a day to $100 a day right away, your ad gets screwed up, right? So what you want to do, say you got $30 a day, you want to increase that spend by 20% or so per day, right? So for example, you're spending $30, you could increase it by, a little bit less than 10, right? Start with 5. Then the next day, as the budget goes up and up and up, you can increase it by higher increments. But as you do that, you may find that your lead cost actually goes down, right? Which is what we found. When we get an ad that works properly, we're spending a relatively low budget and we ramp it up daily, click, 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 click. Then we get a lower lead cost, more leads come through, we're converting people, and the ad is actually performing better over time. Recently, there was an ad that we published, started it at $50 a day. It was doing decent. The lead cost was a little bit high, but I was like, well, it's profitable. So $10 up, $10 up, boom, 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 all the way up to $80 a day, right? And we were getting $20 leads, right? When it came to. So it was like $30 leads, dropped down to $20 leads as I increased the budget. And so we're getting 4 leads a day based on that $80 spend, right? So now if you're not getting a lot of leads from it, your lead cost starts to climb $70, it's there for too long, right? And it starts to climb a little more than that, shut that thing off and redo it, right? Yeah, redo it, find different creative, look into your copy, look into your lead form. Are you asking too many questions? These are the kinds of things that we want to make sure that we keep in mind, right? And if your lead costs are relatively low and you're not converting anything, that's a problem in-house. It's not a problem with Facebook, right?
Yep.
So
that's where you call us and we
Yep.
fix that problem. We help you guys work through that. But I think the thing is, and especially for me, like I'm totally new with Facebook, and to be honest, I get scared to kind of spend that extra money because like $70 a day, if I'm not getting that return right away, it's scary. It's definitely a scary thing. But the highest I've ever pushed my budget was like 40 or $50 a day. And I was getting leads like crazy, but my system couldn't handle it. So it was easier for us to just kind of scale it down because we have leads coming from other sources too. So for us, we had to scale it down. And again, that told me that I needed more people on the back end to help me to sell through. So maybe somebody just actually picking up the phone and dialing just to get those leads booked because my one person couldn't handle it. So that's when I took my other guy in the gym, my other trainer, move him up, start teaching him sales. So now I could turn that Facebook ad, back on and really throw the budget at it so the leads can come in and he can help us work through all those leads. Because again, it's not as easy as just putting $100 a day on there and just hitting submit and your bank account's going to fill up. There's a lot of work that has to actually go into that. And that's what those gurus won't tell you is that there is that 4-letter word that everybody hates is going to come with it. But if you want to take home more money, it's just going to be work. And then again, pick up the phone and start dialing. Pick up the phone and start dialing. But Jimmy, thank you so much, man. That was really good. That was a really, really good insight. And I know you're vast knowledge when it comes to Facebook. And I always ask you questions about Facebook and we're always tweaking things. And the funny thing is I've literally taken Jimmy's ad and put it to work for me and it flopped because we're in 2 different places, 2 different demographics of people, 2 different areas, totally different things. So even if you went on and you copied Jimmy's ad, chances of it working for you, again, are not going to work. Because if you just copy Jimmy's ad, throw $100 at it a day and say, all right, Jimmy said to do this. But if you have no back-end system to handle that, it's a waste of money completely. So if you want to solidify the money that you're getting from Facebook, you have to make sure that the back end and those numbers are going to help you. So just based on what Jimmy said, if you go by what he said, for every 10 leads you get on Facebook, you should be getting 1 or 2 closes. So if you're not getting that, then you need to reevaluate what's going on. You need to first look at the back end. Am I getting in touch with these people? Am I doing the right things on my end to get those clients in? Then if not, then you look at the creative and the ad and the image and all that other stuff. But the first things first, it starts with you on the inside. You have to make sure that you can handle the amount of leads that you're actually getting. So that's what I want to say to that. You guys have any questions? You guys are interested in working with us and finding out more about how we can help you put more money in your pocket? Just look below. There's a link to our email address there. Just send us an email and we'll be sure to get back to you. All right, guys. Anthony and Jimmy, Fitness Profit Multiplier here, and we're out.